Good morning and happy Mother's Day. Welcome to the Sunday morning worship service at DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church in Naperville, Illinois. I am Kelly Trombley-Freitag, a member of your Board of Trustees. We are so glad you are here today, whether you are present in the sanctuary this morning or watching remotely. It is so good to be together. We welcome you to our church and invite you to get to know us better after the service. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many paths to truth and meaning, and we support one another on our spiritual and religious journeys, while holding ourselves in covenant through our shared 7 principles. The mission of DuPage UU Church is to gather as an inclusive community to grow in character, mind, and spirit, and to transform the world towards fairness, love, and compassion. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. We have an additional announcement today. The educational question and answer sessions reviewing subjects that you will be asked to vote on at our June 4th annual meeting continue. This week, join us on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. by Zoom to learn more about the proposed budget and proposal to cover the budget deficit. Check the Thursday weeklies and also look for a separate email this week with Zoom details. On the church's website, annual meeting page, you can find information about everything related to the June 4th meeting, including all sessions on the budget and bylaws edits for the fiscal year 23-24, and a link to the slate of candidates and their bios for the board and nominating committee. Now, if you are online, we invite you to greet each other in the chat. And here, those of you here in the sanctuary, I invite you to turn to someone you did not come with and greet them with a wave and a good morning.
I like this challenge today for our first Unitarian Universalist principle. We believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
Good morning. Welcome to this place of communal flourishing. We enter this worship space to open our hearts, to expand our minds, and to see the sacred within each other. The writer and activist Alice Walker wrote that we cannot be mother, I'm going to switch that to parent or caregiver, of our own children until we can be parent to all children. On this Mother's Day, let us learn how we might be parents to all children, including adult children who have been passed by or rejected because of their identity. Come, let us worship together.
I invite you to stand as you're willing and able and join us in hymn number 553, We Laugh, We Cry.
We
vision of beloved community is rooted in the relationships we have with each other, our world, and creation. Each week, we share our joys and concerns. Today's flowers were given by Jill Wallace. She shares that 22 years ago, Carrie Gorman was dedicated at this church. Yesterday, she graduated from college. Congratulations, Carrie and the Wallace family. A joy from Kay Richards. Thank you all for caring. I'm so glad to be back and feeling great. Her haiku for the day is strong winds, treetop bird struggles, perseverance. Thank you, Kay. And another joy from Steve Connett. I am gainfully employed again. Woohoo! And we've got a lot of joys today, because this one from Beth Johnson Cuny. After an adventurous young adulthood and many years of hard work, Mike Johnson Cuny graduated cum laude from Northern Illinois University. He received his bachelor's with a major in communications and public rhetoric and a minor in political science. He's planning to take the LSAT this fall. We are so proud of him and all his work. Thank you, and congratulations, Mike. Oh, and in the wake of all that joy, we know that some concerns are not spoken and may remain in your hearts. Know that this community is here for you. As I was preparing for this service, I was attempting to find the statistics in regards to trans lives lost in the past several years. Do you know that they don't actually exist? Or what we do know is actually very limited. And the reason is because when a body is taken into a coroner's office, they don't care whether they're transgendered or not. They look at the biology pieces. So I name that because in the midst of all of this joy, there is still heartbreak in this world. Please join me for a moment of prayer. Whole-bodied benedictions. May you be safe and embodied. You are deserving of reverence now. May the divinity that delights in you remind you of the gifts that you are to yourself. Offerings abound in your completion. May you be reminded of your agency in choice, choosing otherwise portents great mystery unfolding. May earth hold you in the spirit of reciprocity. Your being is sufficient. May all directions reveal the wholeness of your origin story. Honorable ancestors of the East, North, West, and South, smile upon who you are in awe. You are ancient cosmologies incarnate. May you be nourished by full-bodied truths that orient you in love and deliver you unto intimacy with your whole canon. Thanks be to the infinite creative ingenuity of your being.
It is time to gather. Today, I want to share with you a diagram similar to what we use in our sexuality education classes in helping explain gender and sexual orientation. It is the gender unicorn. So gender identity typically is what happens in the brain. So this is showing the different parts of gender and sexual orientation. So gender identity, the rainbow, happens in the brain. One's internal sense of being male, female, neither of these, both, or another gender. Everyone has a gender identity, including you. For transgender people, their sex assigned at birth and their own internal sense of gender identity are not the same. Female, women, and girl, and male, man, and boy are also not necessarily linked to each other, but are just 6 common gender identities. And you'll notice that they included other, or other genders, in each category, which is to indicate the many genders that other people might identify as, express themselves as, and be attracted to. Examples of these genders include agender, bigender, gender fluid, genderqueer, transgender, non-binary, gender nonconforming, and two-spirit. And many people have been curious if agender and asexual people were included in this graphic, and in short, they are. For example, identifying on the left of the sexuality spectra would indicate no attraction. And each arrow is a sliding scale, not a checkbox. This next slide gives you an example of how to fill out your own gender unicorn so that you can see how each item can be indicated by the sliding scale, the left being 0 or none, and the right being 100%. So gender expression or presentation, that'd be clothing or your style. The physical manifestation of one's gender identity through clothing, hairstyle, voice, body shape, etc. Many transgender people seek to make their gender expression, the way that they look, match their gender identity, who they are, rather than the sex assigned at birth. Now, sex assigned at birth, the assignment and classification of people as male, female, intersex, or another sex based on a combination of anatomy, hormones, chromosomes, it is important we don't simply use the word sex because of the vagueness of the definition of sex and its place in transphobia. And chromosomes are frequently used to determine sex from prenatal karyotyping, although not as often as genitalia. And chromosomes do not always determine genitalia, sex, or gender. Now the next 2 items are in the heart, but can be different from the other. So physically attracted to, sexual orientation. It is important to note that the sexual and romantic emotional attraction can be from a variety of factors, including, but not limited to, gender identity, gender expression, presentation, and sex assigned at birth. Now, emotionally attracted to, romantic, emotional orientation, it is important to note that sexual and romantic emotional attraction can be from a variety of factors, including, but not limited to, gender identity, gender expression, presentation, and sex assigned at birth. There are other types of attraction related to gender, such as aesthetical or platonic, and these are simply 2 common forms of attraction. The diagrams of the gender unicorn come from the Trans Student Educational Resources, and it was created in 2015. So I'm hoping that this might help when you are trying to figure out the difference between gender identity, physical attraction, romantic attraction, sex assigned at birth, they're all in the spectrum of the gender unicorn. And some of you may have also seen this expressed in the genderbread person. It's another version of this. Although the gender unicorn is more, works better with the transgender area of spectrums, yes. All right, so it is now time for the kids to go to class. High school youth will stay in the service. Let's sing to the children.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Karen Peck. I'm an LGBTQ plus ally, and my pronouns are she, her. DuPage UU Church welcomes people of all sexual orientations and gender identities. Today, I'll share just a small sampling of great information. We gained welcoming congregation status through a vote, education, LGBTQ-centered worship services, advocacy, and action in our community. We will be recertifying as a welcoming congregation next year. Pronouns are a way for people to express their gender identity. Some people use more than one pronoun. She, her identifies as the female gender. He, him identifies as the male gender. They, them identifies as outside the gender binary or may feel different in different contexts. Some people use other pronouns. What's important is to respect and use pronouns as the person requests. You can't tell someone's pronouns by looking. You can use they unless told otherwise. You can wait for a clue, look for pins, or ask the person privately. As long as you're not being malicious in using the wrong pronouns, most people are forgiving. Some people may tell you what their pronouns are. If I'm unsure of someone's pronouns, say they're not wearing one of these badges, I'll sometimes say, "Hi, I'm Karen. My pronouns are she, her. What are yours?" Do your best to use theirs. Gender is a social construct used to classify a person as male, female, or some other gender identity. Gender is different from the sex one is assigned at birth. Using a person's stated pronouns is simple, kind, and welcoming. It's an act to honor their gender identity. You may feel uncomfortable at first because it's unfamiliar. Pronoun use isn't so much about your comfort if you are gender conforming. It's about the comfort of the folks who are so under attack right now. Reverend Mandy will be speaking about that shortly. Using a person's stated pronouns is easy, respectful, mindful, and kind. Thinking about who we are is natural. Our understanding of human sexuality and gender identity is evolving. Science reveals more about human diversity each day. Sexuality and gender identity is complex and diverse. More recent language helps people better communicate their sexuality and gender identity. Nuanced definitions can be validating and a way for some people to feel accepted. Some terms can be difficult to understand. It's okay. The great news is that you don't need to understand every new-to-you term to be kind, compassionate, welcoming, and loving toward others. And with diversity comes fabulous symbols. There are now more than 50 different pride flags. Today I'll give you just a sampler of flags you may see at your next Chicago Pride Parade or any other celebration of our diversity. Each flag's designer has chosen colors and meanings for each stripe. We don't have time to go over all the individual meanings, but when you see a flag out there, now you may recognize what it is. Gay pride flag, or the rainbow flag. Here's one of the original LGBTQ pride flags to honor lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgender folks. You may have also heard QIA added on. Q is for questioning, I is for intersex, A is for asexual. There are more letters, but we'll stop there for now. The rainbow flag became associated with the diversity in the gay community. It's positive and affirming. The originator defined the stripes as red for life, orange for healing, yellow for sunlight, green for nature, blue for harmony and peace, and purple for spirit. This is the updated pride flag. This triangular section honors LGBTQ plus people of color and transgender people. In the interest of time, here are just the flags, sometimes with a brief description. This is the lesbian pride flag, bisexual pride flag, intersex. There is an intersex pride flag, which is yellow with a purple circle, which is unbroken, that indicates intersex folks are whole and complete the way they are. There you go. And just before that was the transgender flag. I'll come back to that. There you go. Pansexual pride flag. I'm going to let Dan Levy explain this.
Just to be clear, I'm a red wine drinker.
That's fine.
Okay, cool. I only drink red wine.
Okay.
And up until last night, I was under the impression that you too only drank red wine. But I guess I was wrong.
I see where you're going with this. I do drink red wine, but I also drink white wine.
Oh.
And I've been known to sample the occasional rosé. And a couple summers back, I tried a Merlot that used to be a Chardonnay, which got a bit complicated.
Okay, yeah, so you're just really open to all wines.
I like the wine and not the label. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. This is just very new to me, so as long as you didn't roll over and cry yourself to sleep with regret, then we're good, right?
No, I absolutely did that. Just wept for hours in the dark. I say we go with this one, it's the biggest.
Just to be clear, I'm a red wine drinker.
That's fine.
Okay, cool.
All right. Ask me later where that's from and I'll tell you. This is the asexual pride flag. This is the non-binary pride flag. And just to go back for a minute, the transgender pride flag looks like this. And it recognizes folks whose gender identity is different from the sex they were assigned at birth. The non-binary pride flag, as you can see, is yellow for people whose gender identity doesn't fall into a binary. White's for the many gender or all gender folks. Purple's for folks whose genders are a combination of male and female. Black is for those who don't identify with having a gender. Gender fluid pride flag recognizes folks for whom gender identity is not fixed or may feel one gender one day and another gender on other days. Outside of the walls of our safe church, be an ally. Speak up if you see something. Stand up for others. Use people's pronouns. Join a pride parade. Donate to organizations that provide services to marginalized folks. Educate yourself and others. Be kind. Be love. Search out information. Today's presentation was just a tiny sampling. I'll share a list of websites to get you started. I'll put it on the Coffee Hour Facebook page, and you can also email me if you'd like a copy of this presentation. Thank you.
The giving of our treasure is how we reciprocate the many gifts we are given by this community. Your contribution supports the programs and operations of DuPage UU Church. Giving is also how we live our values in the world. Each month, we share our offerings with an organization nominated by the congregation and selected by the special offering team. During May, our special offerings will be Unsinkable Be Our Ryle YMCA, nominated by Bridget Coleman. Unsinkable's mission is to make swim lessons more accessible and affordable to local children in the foster care system. Water safety is a critical life skill. In being safe and comfortable in the water helps build kids' self-esteem and enables both independence and fun. Since its founding in 2017, it has provided 93 sessions of swim lessons to 25 youth at the Glen Ellen Y. It expanded to the Rockford Y in January of this year and has already served 17 foster kids over 22 swim lessons. This program serves kids in our community and adjacent communities. It was founded by a DUC family that saw a specific need in a specific population and attempted to fill that need. Kids in the foster care system have so much stacked against them. This is a concrete way to make them safer and hopefully happier, and the small amount of money can have a great impact in their lives. The offering is given and received in a spirit of generosity and gratitude.
Good morning. My name is Teresa Salee, and I have been a member of this church for around 15 years. My husband and I first joined a UU church in Brookfield, Wisconsin around 20 years ago after suffering a loss and realizing we did not have a spiritual community when we needed one. I was raised Catholic and had removed myself from that religion as a teenager, and my Methodist husband was not practicing either. I was not interested in attending a church that made me say and do things I did not believe in, and a friend suggested we look into Unitarian Universalism. It was a good fit for us. Some of you may know Reverend Suzelle Lynch up in Wisconsin. She is a remarkable woman and made us feel at home. At that time, we had a 6-year-old assigned female at birth, or AFAB, child. Alex was beautiful and kind and funny, the light of our lives. They are 25 now. Since then, we've had 2 more AFAB kids. One is graduating high school in a few weeks. You may have seen Ben present during the tag service a couple weeks ago. And Sophia, who is 9, almost 10, and in the RE program. These kids are incredible. They are smart and silly and adorable and frustrating, just like everyone's kids. When Mandy asked me to speak today, I had a lot of emotions going through me. I have a lot to say on the subject of parenting gender-diverse kids, having raised 2 of them. And I also had no idea what to say, but I know this is a friendly audience. I think the first thing that goes through my mind is how incredibly fortunate we were to be part of a UU congregation. I can't even imagine going through this experience in a congregation that is not supportive, welcoming, and understanding. When I look back on when my kids first talking about their gender identities, it was more bits and pieces here and there. There was no big coming out event. I think they were still figuring things out over time. Were they gay, bisexual, pansexual, non-binary? We went through all the colors of all the rainbows. And they still had the regular stuff, school and friends and activities and struggles, just like everyone's kids. We have been fortunate. The vast majority of our family and friends have been truly supportive and loving. No one has disowned anyone, and everyone tries to use preferred names and pronouns, even if they need a little reminder here and there. I think the hardest part is meeting up with old acquaintances who we've not kept up with in several years and having to have the talk about current names and pronouns. Of course, there are those who act supportive but are really not. They go through the motions of civility during social functions, but don't really connect with us or our kids. In some cases, I think they don't really understand and don't know what to say. In other cases, they have deeper problems with trans people, and all they can manage is not saying anything at all. Many people are sympathetic, but I have mixed feelings about that. Yes, we and our kids are faced with different challenges, but I don't want or need sympathy. My family is just as amazing as anyone else's. What I need is for the world to not be a dangerous place for my children to exist. When I look back, I realize I had to go through a transition along with Alex and Ben. I was of the opinion that my kids were perfect, at least as perfect as humans can be. Of course, they were kids, but I thought they were pretty great. I loved them completely as they were. The hardest thing for me to accept was that they did not like themselves, or maybe not themselves, but their bodies and the sex assigned at birth was not a good fit for them. How can a person who is so perfect not see that about themselves? Probably the next most difficult part of all this was letting go of the name. This child you gestated, birthed, and named, now they want to change it? Really? That is hard to not take personally. But it was not about me. It is them figuring out who they are and how to face the world authentically. But all of this is normal. All kids grow into their own personalities and ways of living. It is a challenge all parents face, their kids becoming a person that is not who they envisioned. So I've come up with some pearls to help those with gender-diverse kids and those who want to be good allies. 1, don't try and fight it. It's not going to help, and it will only increase the child's anxiety and self-dislike. You can't change this. Accept it and accept that it may be a fluid thing. There is no finish line. Just love your kid and support them. 2, names change. Sometimes a lot. Again, go with the flow. 3, not all trans people are the same. It's okay to ask them how they prefer to be addressed. 4, pronouns are difficult. Keep practicing. If you make a mistake or misgender them, apologize and move on. You do not need to launch into an explanation of why. Just try and do better in the future. And practice does help. 5, remember these are kids. They have a lot going on in addition to the incredibly difficult situation of a changing gender identity. They don't need special treatment because of their gender identity. Just respect and support them the way you would any kid. 6, give yourself some grace. These are difficult changes to come to terms with. There will be hard days. Parenting is hard even when things are normal. Teenagers are hard. My mom used to say that living through adolescence was the only way that parents could ever let their kids go. Transitioning is just another layer on top of everything. Love them, not in spite of being trans, but in part because of it. Love them for who they are, for their bravery and self-awareness, for all the reasons you love any child. And finally, with the current political atmosphere, be sure to reach out to the trans people you know. Check in to see if they are doing okay. This small gesture can mean the world to a struggling kid or adult. Thank you.
Please rise as you're willing and able and join in hymn number 1053, How Could Anyone?
Gender is a social construct. A social construct is a view of a subject or an object that is universally considered a norm, a way that society has determined that the world works rather than actual reality. Let's dissect that statement using the gender binary, man and woman. And note that even the idea of a binary, there only being two genders, is a construct. You see, over the millennia, society has determined that women are biologically weaker than men. While some of this is based upon biological characteristics, that women have less muscle mass than men, the assumption has been applied to women's emotional and psychological states, our leadership abilities, and many more. From this assumption of women as weaker, which has been extrapolated on, women are nurturers. Women are soft and gentle. Women have been expected to act and dress and perform and work in ways that reinforce this stereotype. Women who do not are vilified or deified, depending on who is speaking of them. Think of Joan of Arc, who is a hero of France, leading her people to victory. She was martyred because she dressed like a man, not because she said that she spoke with God, but because she dressed like a man. The Catholic Church sent a pious and devout follower to death in order to maintain socially constructed concepts of gender, that women are weak and men are strong. A social construct is a box that we place people or groups in. But we know that biology doesn't actually support the construct, especially the binary construct. We know that gender is a spectrum. Again, let's not think about all of the terms that Karen so gratefully put together for us, but just think about the binary. We know that some women are actually stronger than men, correct? Yes. And we know that some men are actually weaker than other men, right? Yes. Putting gender into a socially constructed box is something we do all the time, and we do this with people of color. We do this with all kinds of things, right? And sometimes we even pull people out of the box. So Joan of Arc is one example. Another might be the kilt-wearing Scots of the Highlands, strong men who wear skirts. We know that gender binary constructs are bogus. And to prove this point, I would highly recommend the book Evolution's Rainbow by scientist and trans woman Dr. Joan Roughgarden. She'll tell you about female bears with penises, the 3 genders of starfish, and the asexual reproduction of lizards and starfish. Humans are not the only ones who are non-binary. Social constructs are powerful. They're so powerful that for most of us, we're not even consciously aware of them. Think about the manners that you were taught as a child, like chewing food with your mouth closed. You were taught this as a child when you were so young that you likely don't even remember that happening. And now that you are 30, 60, 90 years old, you don't even think about how you're eating, do you? You don't go to the store and put food in your mouth and think about chewing with your mouth closed because it's just so natural to you. But you'll definitely notice if somebody else eats with their mouth open, correct? And likely your reaction to that will be visceral, right? Ew. We notice when people don't fit into our constructs. And we come up against this when one construct hits another construct. So another example of this is belching. In Western cultures, burping after your meal is an affront to civil society. But there are cultures where burping after a meal is considered a compliment for both the meal and the person who prepared it. Constructs are all around us, and most of the time they're relatively harmless, causing laughter or a conversation when we're in relationship to another person. But some constructs are harmful because they feed into lies that we are told about the inherent worth and dignity of every person. lies that keep us from flourishing. Race, gender, ability are all social constructs that are based upon lies that we as a society and we as individuals believe. Social constructs use pseudoscience to measure skull size as a justification for racial differences that justified slavery. Social constructs on what ability meant led science and medicine and some of our Unitarian ancestors to support and advocate for eugenics for those who were considered disabled. Social constructs tied into religion have made us believe that it is just male and just female, both in gender and in sexual orientation. That is, social constructs support the myth that Adam and Eve is the morally correct form of both gender and also of heterosexual relationships. After all, it wasn't Adam and Steve. All of these social constructs are just that, ideas and boxes that our society has created to order and simplify our lives. And some of them are lies, and they are powerful, and they are dangerous. So many people have bought into the lies of the gender social construct that they actually believe that people who do not fit into that construct are dangerous to other people. They are repeating the Catholic Church's legacy of burning women who dress like men through the 541 anti-trans bills in legislation in 49 states. 4 of these bills are here in Illinois. 4 of these bills include these: the Girls Act, which seeks to maintain the gender binary in higher education buildings by keeping spaces gendered. The Interscholastic Sports Gender Act that requires that all sports be male or female and not mixed. The Freedom Education Act, which allows parents or students to refuse any curriculum to which they object to. And the Bio-Restroom Access Bill, which reinforces gender binary restrooms in schools. This might be a really good time for a letter writing campaign. Breaking down social constructs are hard because they are infused on our brains so strongly they are almost like our DNA, a part of who we are as people. If you've taken an implicit bias test, there's a free one on Harvard's website, you understand that we are taught from our earliest moments norms and constructs to explain our world. And until we take the time to actually become aware of them, we continue to perpetuate them. Breaking these constructs is hard because it's a literal unlearning of the things that we were taught at a time in our lives when we were most impressionable. Using they and not just he or she as a gender pronoun takes years to correct. Years in which we encounter the gender indoctrination that we were ingrained with as children. Here's the thing though. As Unitarian Universalists who believe that all should flourish, it's imperative for us to advocate for those who are marginalized by social constructs. It's our ethical obligation to ensure that the inherent worth and dignity of all people is protected. I encourage you to write those letters, to hang your pride flags, as our church will be doing in June, and to use the pronouns and names that people choose for themselves. Now, I know that last one's hard, but you're already doing this in a different way. You as a community have made an effort to not capitalize my name. I do this practice because it's a spiritual reminder for me that I am not more important, nor do I have dominion over nature. You may not understand why I do this. You may not even agree with why I do this. But you do it anyways because you respect me. You do it and you correct yourselves when you get it wrong. You wish me to flourish. You respect my wishes about my name. Pronouns are no different. You may not understand why someone chooses they over he or she. I hope you try. And you may not even agree with using a plural pronoun, though we do all the time. But by using someone's correct pronoun and asking for forgiveness and correcting yourself when you get it wrong, you show your hope and your respect for another person's flourishing. In fact, using the right pronoun and name might just even save a life.
Please rise as you're willing and able and join me in hymn number 1017, Building a New Way.
Receive these closing words from Elena Westbrook. Go in hope, for the arc of the universe is long and we can bend it towards justice. Go in courage, for together we have the strength to confront injustice in our daily lives and the larger world. Go in love, because a holy and generous love is both the reason and the means by which we transform our lives. May it be so.
Please join me with what you remember of our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish the light of this chalice, but not the light in our hearts. Until we meet again, may the warmth of our community carry you.
Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices,